Welcome to Sympiphany, a Baltimore Symphony Orchestra podcast. I'm Jennifer Barton, Senior Vice President and Chief Revenue Strategy Officer at the BSO. In my role, I get to hear the stories and ideas from musicians and audiences about how music shapes their lives, and it's too good not to share, which is why we're here. Today, I'm excited to share with you a touching conversation that I had with Mya Bilal, founder and owner of Codetta Bake Shop, who can often be seen selling sweet treats at our concerts in the lobby. And a quick plug while we're here for my favorite Codetta treat, the Big Deborah oatmeal cream pie. We first welcomed her for a Harry Potter film concert, so she is the perfect person to share the answer we posed about movie soundtracks that define memorable moments of your life. But her relationship with the BSO is deeply profound. We talk about belonging and how she was unsure at first about her place at the Meyerhoff, and now is part of a team that creates a welcoming space for everyone who comes to our concerts. She talks about mirrors and is a great example for anyone who wants to find their own place at the BSO. I think we can all see a little bit of ourselves in Mya. Let's get into it. Today, I'm so happy to be welcoming Mya Bilal, founder, owner, and executive chef of Codetta Bake Shop, and a frequent presence at BSO concerts. She's also an alum of the BSO Academy in 2017, where she played bass clarinet. Welcome, Mya.
Thank you. It's so great to be here talking to you guys.
Great. And the question that we're asking people this week is, if you could set one of your memories to a movie score, which moment and which score would you choose?
I think that you can't really talk about film scores without talking about John Williams. So my moment is kind of this phase of my life where as an entrepreneur, I'm just running all the time. And the clarinet theme from Catch Me If You Can, that's the thing that I think of immediately because it's kind of like frantic and hectic and what's going to happen next. And that's kind of my life right now. I love the movie Catch Me If You Can. It is one of my favorite movies. And I feel like my life is kind of like, I'm just running everywhere. And then there's clarinet in the Catch Me If You Can, the theme, like the main music. And I'm a clarinetist. So like, that's probably another reason that it kind of sticks in my head.
Right. So it's the sentiment of the music. It's applying to your life in other places. And you are a busy person as, like you said, an entrepreneur. And with Codetta, like I said, you've been at the BSO many times at this point. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, especially about this question, is because I know you have a strong affinity for Harry Potter. And the first time that you were at the BSO, you were serving the sorting cupcakes. And I'd love to just hear more about your story that day, because it's just one that I think is always just so indicative of the way that the BSO is changing and becoming a community space.
Oh, that was honestly like one of the most fun gigs I've ever done. And I got so excited. I was like, okay, I have to buy a sorting hat. I got to buy a wand. I need a little head wig tool. I need some dry ice so we can get some smoke going. It was a big production on my end. But yeah, we set up in the lobby underneath the stairs so you couldn't see where we were, just walking in the door. And then we had sorting cupcakes that we were selling. And they were all frosted with just white buttercream. But inside, they had house colors. And so I would have people bite into the cupcake and show me what was inside. And then I would scream out the house name like Gryffindor. And so the lobby in the Meyerhoff is so live and resonant, like people could just hear it from like across the lobby. And they'd come over like, What is going on over here? And you'd be like, hey, you want a cupcake?
I was definitely one of those people. I was like, is everything okay? And then I realized this is how it's going to be. It was a perfect level of hype. Yep. I mean, it set the scene for how we wanted people to enjoy that day. And you're always setting the scene for how we want people to enjoy their time with us at the BSO. The concert itself was the Harry Potter movie, and you got to go in and listen. And I think that's a really special story that I'd love for you to share.
Yeah. So we were selling our desserts in the lobby. I think we were selling them for intermission too. And then I packed everything up and I was like, well, let me go inside because I hadn't made it yet to a movie with the orchestra concert. And I was always fascinated and wondering about the technology, like how do they do that? And so I went in to sit in. It was the sixth Harry Potter movie. Now, I'm like a huge Harry Potter nerd, so I've read all the books, seen all the movies many, many times. And I'm sitting there watching the movie. It is the part in the movie where, spoiler alert, Dumbledore dies and he falls from the tower in Hogwarts. And so then Harry comes down and there's like this crowd of people, and Harry goes up to Dumbledore's body and he's just kind of like looking. And I got so overwhelmed with emotion because my dad had just passed away like 6 months prior. And I wasn't expecting to feel that level of emotion that day. I was in a great mood. I had just sold a whole bunch of cupcakes and, there was kids everywhere and it was just happy. And then I got so overwhelmed and I just started crying and crying, and I had to leave the hall and kind of collect myself and then come back. Now, that was the first time that I truly felt emotionally triggered, and I didn't have too many experiences with grief before my dad died, thankfully. So that was emotional on a few different levels, right? Like, I love Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. Also, Dumbledore is Harry's father figure throughout the whole series, and so that was why that hit me so hard. I was one of those kids that I grew up with Harry, and I would go to all the morning book releases and the midnight book releases and movie releases, and I'd dress up in my robes and all kinds of stuff. So it was very like near and dear to my heart. And then, that moment was just so emotional. And my dad, before he died, he wanted me and he wanted Codetta specifically to be connected with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. And he was like, you got to get in with the orchestra. You have to, connect with them, and you need to be the official desserts bakery of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. And I was like, Dad, they don't want anything to do with me, little old me, like whatever. But it was like a couple months after he passed that I got an email from the BSO staff, and they were like, hey, we want you to come and do something with us. And I was like, what? So that was just layers and levels of emotion on that day and that moment. It just feels like an answered prayer that my dad had for what he wanted to see Codetta become and the kind of relationships he wanted us to have with the community. I was just saying to my niece last night, I was like, I've cried so many times in the Meyerhoff, like, all in good ways, like, and just because I'm just so moved by being there and like, listening to music and stuff like that. And I remember I was in the Academy in 2017. Yeah. And the first time I stepped on the stage, like looking out into the hall from the stage, tears. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I think that happens more often than we think. I think that people have those moments. And I think that maybe people don't have a space to share them that widely. It's really personal, and whether it's with a movie or with something else. Yeah. It really can shake you, and it can come out of nowhere. I mean, this past weekend, I got to hear the BSO play the national anthem at the Orioles game. And same thing. I just by the end of it, I was really, really, really moved, not only because it was beautiful and it was just with all the people in Baltimore, but something about that whole experience just really gets you, right?
It's the live instruments, man. It's different. Different when it's live instruments.
It's the moment. And it's different. I think that when you have films, I mean, you're talking about Dumbledore as a father figure, it associates stories in a really different and more, I guess, literal way for people who aren't used to symphonic music. But I mean, can you imagine movies without symphonic music? I mean, it was just, the impact would not be even close. It would just fall flat. So I think about how great movies are for people who know music, but also maybe for people who don't know music as well, to come in and recognize the way that you can be, triggered and sucked into a story, whether it's clear in a movie or even something like, the Firebird Ballet, for example. That's the story that always gets me. And that, it goes way back. But I think that Harry Potter is probably one of those things. You don't have those community moments that much anymore. When the book releases and stuff. Maybe the movies at the Meyerhoff are one of the closest things that people have to go and do that together.
Yeah, and like, it's really cool to be there for those moments. There was another Harry Potter. It wasn't a movie with the orchestra, but it was like a Harry Potter, it was like a younger audience thing. Yeah. And so people were coming in, and I'm seeing all these little teeny tiny children, like literally dressed up as Hedwig or Crookshanks. And I'm like, that's crazy that these tiny children are into Harry Potter. And then I was like, wait, no, it's not them. It's their parents. It's like, these are the children of millennials. They're the nerds. They're the Harry Potter nerds. I was like, okay, I see. Y'all was at Barnes & Noble.
Yes.
Y'all was at Barnes & Noble. I remember.
Well, I mean, I ran into a Hedwig this summer at the family concert that you might be talking about. And I asked this.
Oh, the little guy?
Hedwig. Yes. He did a whole Hedwig dance for me. It was so much fun. But I asked his mom and she was like, I asked him if he wanted to be Harry Potter. And he said, no, I want to be Hedwig. And he pulled it off. It was really a convincing out.
He was so cute. And when,
maybe
when
like
he came to the table, right? He was little. When he came to the table, the parents were like, yeah, he won't speak. He's just been hooting all morning. That is amazing. Yes. That is amazing.
Yeah. Yes. So, thank you. Yes. This is what we get, when we have movies, you get such a range of people. Like this summer when we did Jaws, there were people. Actually, there were several people wearing the same skirt that was just the Jaws art. And I was so impressed by it. I mean, just people came out in costumes. Costumes are a really big part of when we do movies. They just hold such a special place in people's hearts. And, I think it's when a lot of people come out for the first time. Since you've been back to the symphony so much, I know it's been important to you to help other people find their own ways to the symphony. And I'd love to hear from you. How do you end up picking concerts that other people come along with, or how do you help other people discover this thing that you hold so personally?
So there's a few different ways, actually. I mean, I tell my family all the time, like, hey, if you want tickets to the BSO, let me know. Look through the calendar for the season. A lot of times I will just call my mom up and be like, hey, we're going to see Aida, and I need you to be ready on Sunday at 1 or like whatever it is. And she's just like, okay. But, I think it's partially that my close friends and my family, I know what they're going to enjoy. Most of the time, I'll just kidnap my mom and bring her for a show if I can. She's pretty down for anything. Yeah. But then, I have some friends that will come and just help me vend for the day. One friend in particular, he came to help me sell stuff before the show. And I said, hey, let's stay for the performance. And he was like, I've never seen an orchestra perform. And I'm like, what? And he's like almost, he's in his early 30s too. And that kind of blew my mind. But it helped me to realize too, like this, I consider this like an incredible privilege to have the access that I have to the BSO, like a world-class concert hall, world-class musicians, a young Black music director that also loves Converse. Like I'm wearing Converse right now. Yes. And it's just so cool. I love that the BSO as an institution is committed to the community and committed to programming things that will bring diverse audiences to experiences for the first time. And then the programs like Orchids and the youth orchestra, like it's amazing to see that. Even the fusion concerts, which are Steve Hackman is like one of my favorite features at the BSO for sure. Every time he comes through.
He has a following for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man, the Beethoven and Beyonce show was insane. I've never seen that many Black people at the symphony. First of all, I've never heard a louder crowd in the Meyerhoff. I had to plug my ears at one point, like at the end of the show. I was like, this concert is lit. And so, it just exposed a completely different demographic to symphonic music. And I heard people as I was there, they were like, this is great. I'm gonna come back here, which is like, that's the whole point of it. Another way that I expose people to the BSO is my team members that come and sell stuff with us. We did Youth Works this year for the first time, and we had some younger team members. They were all like 15, 16, and they had never been to the Meyerhoff. And I was like, we're going to come vend and you're going to go and listen to the performances. And getting that feedback from them was like really awesome, because part of my philosophy as a business owner is to have those moments of being able to expose people to stuff that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. And so it's really, truly a privilege to be able to move in these circles and then to help my community to enjoy some of those same things too. I think like in terms of the access, I didn't come from we were maybe like lower middle class, like a lower middle class background, I guess. But I didn't come from wealth at all. I didn't have access to, I didn't take a private lesson on my instrument until college. Just to give you an idea of like how much I love music. Like I got into music. So I have a music ed degree and I never took a private lesson before, not on clarinet before college. When I was 8, my parents got me like a month of piano lessons because they saw I was that passionate about it. But I was, when I was a kid, all my toys were instruments. I had like a little xylophone and I had a little guitar and I was constantly singing. And so I think from a very young age, my parents knew that I was passionate about that. And they always fostered, they made so many sacrifices to be able to help me and to put me on that path. And I don't take that for granted at all. Like my mom and my dad were amazing parents for me. And I think we see, especially in a city like Baltimore, there's not, it's not a given for a young Black kid to be able to perform in an orchestra, in a band or in an orchestra, because that's a very expensive hobby. You have to have you have to have money for the instrument and for the reeds and for the lessons and for trips and for concert attire. And parents have to take off to go and drive you to a marching band rehearsal and all kinds of things like that. And so it's a product of a lot of sacrifice on my parents' part and my family's part for me to be able to be in this position. And then in a city like Baltimore, to see what the BSO is doing with some of their institutional programs, like, Orchids, and reaching out where, a lot of people in our community might not think that the BSO is for Black people or that's not a place for us. And I have always felt nothing but welcomed, loved, accepted, valued whenever I step through the doors of the Meyerhoff. And I want to share that feeling with other people. And I think it's a mindset, and it's based on like decades and decades of not only disinvestment in Black and brown communities, but also, redlining was created in Baltimore. And so there are places in the city where Black and brown people might just think, that's not for us. But I try as much as possible to show that the Meyerhoff is not one of those places. The Meyerhoff is for everyone, and the BSO as an institution is for everyone to enjoy. So, like I said, I applaud the types of things, the programming that the BSO does, having a young Black conductor. It's really important. What I learned as a teacher is kids need to see mirrors and windows. They need to see windows into someone else's life that's not like them, but they really need to see mirrors. I never saw a Black, Muslim, or woman music conductor my entire musical career, but I was that. Wow. And so I had a lot of students when I was teaching that would come up to me and say, I want to do what you do because you look like me. And that was like mind blowing. And so, I don't think we can overstate the power of having a young Black conductor of a world-class symphony orchestra in a city like Baltimore. And so, I just really applaud the BSO for all the stuff that institutionally that they've done to foster those relationships and invite people and try to make it known that this is a place for everyone. Because I truly feel that.
Well, and thank you for stepping into that space. That kind of an invitation. What you were saying is that you wouldn't expect that from the BSO, but here we are, and we're so excited. We're like, "What do you mean you?" That's the whole point, right? That's what we're trying to do and change, and it does take people being involved. I love that. We're trying to find ways to make that happen on the stage, but even in the lobby, when people come in, to be able to see you and your business being represented there, I think is really, really exciting and important. So thank you. Thank you so much for all of the things that you're doing to help connect people with music and help people connect with the BSO and make the most of their experiences. And I'm really, really grateful for your involvement here. Yeah. And I hope that people who are listening are able to hear that too. And I think that the whole point of this podcast, in a way, is to create those mirrors, to get more voices that are associated with the BSO out there, because this community is amazing. It's the diversity of it, and the viewpoints that we hear, and the people and the backgrounds that are represented. It is changing, and it's really inspiring, and it's something that needs to be broadcast.
Yeah, I think it's cool. My particular vantage point is cool too, because we see so many shows, and there's slightly different demographics for, depending on what the program is.
Yeah,
but
that's very true.
we can kind of see the changes happening in real time in terms of who the BSO is attracting, and how many people are coming. And it's just so great that, we have a lot of customers now that they'll come into our shop and say, "Oh, well, I first met you at the BSO." So it's, it's not only cool for us to be there, but it's like directly benefiting our business too. And that's like another way that the BSO as an institution is like giving back to the community, supporting small businesses. So thank you for that.
And it's not diversifying in the way that you might expect. Like classical has this younger, more vibrant group of people who are maybe, I would almost describe them as more adventurous, especially since Jonathan has become the music director. And I hope that continues, because the classical series concerts that we do offer are such a space of discovery and creativity. And the programming is really mashing up, the traditional pieces that we know with relevant and related composers from maybe people who were left in history, or underrepresented, or just, forgotten. Those voices are being recovered, but also current voices that need to be heard, who are telling stories about, what it's like to live today. All of that's, going together. And I think that's another great thing that Jonathan's bringing in. So hopefully people are feeling that, whether it's films where you want to kind of dip your toe into what it does it even mean to show up at the Meyerhoff and have a great time, or if it's, the classical things where you want to show up and dip your toe into something that is a little bit more adventurous and also just beautiful. It's all there. And so are you. It's a privilege for the BSO to be able to have an advocate like you. I think that you have always, every time I'm seeing you there, you've got a welcoming smile for everybody. Yeah. They love your treats, obviously. And I think that you've been a really big part of us helping to make sure that people are feeling welcome and valued when they come into the hall. We call it the Hall for All.
Thank you.
And I think you're a big part of that. Yes. And that's the thing is, thank you. We're all doing this together because we all want everybody to know what is happening inside. You just don't know. It's kind of like the sorting hat. You don't know what you're going to get until you bite into it.
Right.
And then, it's been really, I think can I just simplify it and say fun? It's just, it's fun to be here doing all of this together. And you've been a really important part of it. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Of
course.
Don't make me cry. Not in front of the fridge. In front of the fridge.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, it's been so great to talk to you. I look forward to having more stories come out of our times that we share at the Meyerhoff in the lobby, welcoming more people to our Hall for All. Is there anything that you want to share to wrap up our conversation? Yeah,
I guess a quick plug. So we just started doing savory catering last year, and this season with the BSO, we'll be doing some savory vending. So we'll be able to get not only sweets from us, but also dinner. We vended at the season opening weekend, and everyone loved the food. So stop by for some dinner and dessert and a show.
Yeah, congratulations on that venture. That is so exciting. Make sure that you check out the BSO's calendar to see when Codetta is going to be there. All right, Mya, thanks again. It's been great to talk to you.
Thank you. Likewise. I'll be back.
Thank you to Mya for joining me. It was such a touching conversation. We want you to join the conversation now by going to bsomusic.org/podcast to answer other questions that we talk about in this space. Your submission may even be featured on a future episode. And of course, if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, share, and leave a comment. This episode was edited and produced by Ayal Subar, and Danielle Quigley was a contributing producer. It was written by myself, Jennifer Barton. The design team is Lauren Spendley and Maya Lee. Our theme music was composed by Kevin Putz and performed by the BSO. As always, we hope to see you at the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra's concerts at the Joseph Meyerhoff Symphony Hall in Baltimore and the Music Center at Strathmore in North Bethesda. Thanks again for tuning in, and stay curious.